Hello everyone, good morning. Today's session will be the final hearing of Mr. Ame. We will be hearing his verdict as well as other statements by certain parties and people in order to reach the objective of today's hearing. Before we begin, I would like to talk a little bit about the background of the accused who goes by the name Mr. Ame. Mr. Ame is originally an Afghanistan citizen. He moved to America with his father when he was around the age of 11 to 12 because of the Russian invasion that happened a long time ago. According to the reports, they have to leave Afghanistan as the Soviet military forces managed to invade and steal the land. They steal the land. The government has no exception. This is all due to Mr. Ame's father that had connection with the government. They mainly escaped to Pakistan and later migrated to America for the sake of Mr. Ame's safety. The migration resulted in them leaving everything behind, including their close friends and families. They cherished those stolen moments that they had and imagined the scenarios of which the invasion never happened. And everything was back to normal. A tragedy, really. But that being said, we shall begin our session. Mr. Ame and those on his corner, you may take the stand and give your statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Why did I frame him? A lot of you must be asking, why did I frame Hassan? It is to get rid of the guilt, you see. Every single time someone mentions his name, I feel guilty. Why did I feel guilty? I was too much of a coward to stand up for myself. And for Hassan, who was always there for me, through thick and thin, to back me up every time I was in trouble of people bullying me, especially from the likes of Afif. The guilt just added up more after what happened to Hassan. After the kite tournament, I went to see where Hassan ran off to, after not coming back with the kite he promised to fetch for me. There, at a very small alley, I saw him, with Asif and his underlings, wanting to steal the kite that Hassan promised to give me. They said if he gave them the kite, they would forgive him for all the things that has done to them. However, like usual, Hassan being Hassan, he stood his ground. I saw Hassan getting punched, kicked, and hit numerous times. But that wasn't the worst part. Asif wanted to leave his mark. He stole Hassan's innocence in exchange, in front of my very eyes. And what did I do? Nothing. I just stood there. I was too much of a coward to do anything back then. I acted like I didn't see anything. I couldn't live with it, knowing that he wouldn't have left me if I were in his place. Then I framed Hassan by stealing my watch to try and get rid of it, so that I thought the guilt would disappear along with Hassan. Yes, I stole our friendship or trust and the truth of him for my own selfish need. But I had to. I thought. I was okay with it. Up until... Please, Your Honor,
Mr. Ame, please calm down and proceed professionally. Forgive my client for his rash speech towards you, Your Honor. Now, we are all here mainly to talk about the full custody of Sohrab, Mr. Ame's nephew. Here we stand because of Mr. Ame's own guilt and how he has put his own life on the line to steal his nephew from the clutches of extremists in Afghanistan. Life there was peaceful and full of joy up until the Russian invasion in the 1970s until 1980s. However, in this case of regret and stolen memories, it doesn't have to go back to their childhood. When the Afghans have lost their freedom, extremists were on the rise. These extremists were the people that had stolen what's left, the crumbs of the peace and prosperity of the Afghan people. They were as bad as the invaders. Again, we are all here because of Sohrab, Hassan's last gift to the world, Hassan's legacy. The true reason for this day of Mr. Ame's trial is to explain the human factor to this hearing. Hassan and his wife were killed by these extremists when he protected Mr. Ame's old house there. Sohrab that had nowhere to go and eventually found himself in an orphanage that consisted of crippled children due to war, Your Honor, and a caretaker who was old and weak himself and was forced to exploit these children for the others to be safe. Can you imagine such environment? It was not somewhere that a place that no children should ever live in. Sohrab has a choice now, don't you think, Your Honor? We may be struggling to refute the smuggling charges. However, there is no one else that can take care of Sohrab better than Mr. Amir himself. His guilt is his strongest motivation to give Sohrab a life, Your Honor, a life on which he can gain back, a life with a mother and a father. As it says in this report here that Mr. Amir and his wife are sterile. Hassan and his wife's lives were stolen, Your Honor. Do you think it is human for us to steal the life of this young boy as well, especially when he has the chance to gain it back? That is all from me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, as the typewriter, let me simplify this for you. There are two dominant issues that I want to highlight from Amir's story. The first one is that taking other people's right. Like Amir's father says, the only sin that he believes is stealing, and stealing can come in various forms. That is true. Based on what I have read, we as humans face a ton of loss. We can lose something concrete like wealth or a person that we love, or something abstract like truth, trust, freedom, relationship, and more. If this stealing situation happen to you, you need to protect the thing that is stolen from you. How? That leads me to the second issue, sacrifice. As we already know, we gather here today because of Sohrab. Can we give credit on how bold Amir is? Willing to risk his life to someone that he never met before. I believe that we can relate this in our life, especially those who care the most for you. The closest thing that we can relate to is our mother, risking her life for our birth. So, Your Honor, please consider the humanity side for this case as well.
Very well then. After listening to all the statements, I hereby grant Mr. Amir the full custody of Sohrab. After Mr. Amir has fully paid the smuggling charges, of course. And what I can conclude is that this soon-to-become family has been through so much, and we as a people have the power in this place must grant them blessings, and hopefully they heal from the losses that they went through all these years. That is all for today. Court adjourned.